watching Dog Ear Musings. And today we're doing something a little bit different. Celebrate 500 subscribers. I'm going to be doing a Q&A because it's been a while since I've answered some of your questions. And again, I just really want to thank you guys for taking the time and watching my videos. It still kind of baffles me that there are people who want to hear what I think about books, and it's just really exciting to get to talk to you guys about the books that I've enjoyed or not so enjoyed reading, and it's kind of the best part about BookTube. So I'm excited for you guys to learn a little bit more about me. So I've got my magic bowl of questions, and I have a timer on so that editing won't be torture, and so we'll go ahead and answer some of them. Do you have any pets? I don't currently, but I do want to have a dog at some point soon. But I grew up having 2 dogs. They were both chocolate labs, and labs are really great, but I definitely want a dog in the future. Favorite book that you read in school? Okay, so I'm not sure how this book stacks up now, but a book that really resonates with me currently is the book Caucasia by Dani Senna, I think her name. But this book was kind of the first book that I saw mixed representation in a book that I read in school. And I mean, I guess if you don't know, I am multiracial. My mom's family's from India, my dad's family's white, and so reading Caucasia was like the first time that I saw a character that had similarities to my own experience. And so I guess that was one of my favorite experiences reading a book in school. So much so that we had to do a presentation, like a 10-minute presentation on the book, and I had so much to say about my personal connections to the book and why I loved it, and all the themes that Senna brought up, and I was so overly excited about the book that my 10-minute presentation ended up being 15 minutes, and my English teacher got really mad at me and told me to stop talking. And I think that that definitely has inspiration to why I have a BookTube channel today, because I never want to stop talking about books and what excites me. A book that inspired your career move or decisions. So I guess if you don't know what I do for my job, I am a librarian. And why I got into librarianship was, again, very similar to my own experiences reading Caucasia, was finding books that kind of shared representation. I mean, I think so much about reading and why I love reading is escapism, but I also really love reading books that allow me to connect with myself and my identity. And I was really lucky growing up. My mom is a librarian, and so I grew up with her connecting me to books that I felt really spoke to who I was at the time and who I later grew up into being. And so I would have to say any book that my mom recommended to me growing up. My mom was how I got into reading Jhumpa Lahiri, and I still wax poetic about her. That joy in connecting myself and my identity to books is also what I love in my career. I love being able to connect people to books that they might love, books that they might hate, because I think that the books that we don't like also tells us big things about ourselves too. Will you talk about being a librarian and common misconceptions versus the actual reality of the job? I currently work in public librarianship, which is very different from academic librarianship. But if you are a community-minded individual who loves public access to literature and information and loves community engagement, I'd say that librarianship might be a really good career for you. Librarianship is so much more than books. I mean, I know that in BookTube, a lot of people know that already. The library has a vast array of resources, whether it's connecting people to mental health resources, passes to museums. I just learned that a museum in my neighborhood has a pass to pontoon boats. We either have the resources or can connect you to someone who does have the resources, and that's what I love about my job. And I think that another misconception is that libraries are dying, whereas there has never been more of a need for the community resources that libraries provide and are being sought after. And then finally, a misconception that people commonly talk to me about is, and I wish that this was true, but it really isn't, that we get to read on the job. It would be really awesome if I got to read at the desk, but unfortunately, when you read at the desk, you really don't look approachable, which I think a lot of people already feel really intimidated when asking a reference question or asking a librarian a question. So we're really told that we shouldn't be reading at the desk so that you can ask us questions and feel comfortable doing so. Librarians want you to interrupt us. We're often bored at the desk. So don't feel scared to ask us a question. And there's never a silly or weird question. We're also not allowed to judge you for the questions you ask. So that's another thing too. A book that I've been putting off reading. So one of the reasons why I really got into BookTube was Emmy Reads, and specifically her series reading War and Peace. And this is a book that I've always had in my radar. I mean, it's a classic, and it's a huge classic. And it's funny because Emmy also read 100 Years of Solitude, and she's read it multiple times, and that was also another big book that had been intimidating to me, but I've read that one. So I think maybe when I find myself in a slump and don't know what to read next, maybe I should read War and Peace. What is your happy place? I would have to say either in a bookstore, specifically in the staff recommendation section of a bookstore, just because I love when people recommend me books. I think that one of my love languages is when somebody says, I read this book and it reminded me of you, and here's why. Ugh. I love that. Another happy place is in a kitchen. Either I'm making food for somebody who I love and they're sitting at the kitchen counter bar stool and we're talking about our days, or vice versa. I'm sitting in the bar stool and someone I love is making me food. Growing up, food has always been my love language, also as an adult. Those were some questions that I answered. Again, I really love being a part of this community. I know it's so cheesy and cringy to say, but I just get so excited hearing from you guys about books that I should read or books that you're excited for me to read. And I think it's been one of the highlights of the past year, getting to talk to everyone about books and finding new friends through the books I've read. It's something that I didn't expect would happen this year, and it's been really just exciting to meet more of you, and hopefully we'll get to meet in person someday. I'll be back next week with some more bookish content. You've been watching Dog Ear Musings. I'm Monika. Happy reading.